One moment can change a life forever. A traumatic event, a difficult battle, a painful chapter. The journey of actress Lisa Regina began with surviving violence. Through writing, she found healing. Through healing, she found purpose. Today, Heroic Episodes shines a light on those who rise, rebuild, and transform pain into strength. These are stories of courage, stories of resilience, stories of hope. Welcome to Heroic Episodes.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Heroic Episodes. I'm Lisa Regina, the founder of the nonprofit A Right to Heal and the creator of Heroic Episodes. And we join here every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern with veterans, advocates, and artists, all who have chosen to heal, to create, and to inspire. And I know firsthand as a survivor that storytelling can truly be healing, not just for the person who willingly shares their story, but for anyone who may be listening. And I'm joined every week with my dear friend, renowned photographer, author of, it's on that side, Rock and Soul, associate producer of Heroic Episodes, and ambassador for A Right to Heal, Barry Morgenstein.
Hey, Barry. Lisa, good to be back. Hello, everybody. We're excited tonight.
Yes, good to see you.
Good to see you.
And I have to give a plug to Barry and his beautiful wife, Shelly, because they're doing a contest. My favorite couple, my fave couple. I'm going to share the link with everyone. Please vote for Barry and Shelly because they are true patriots. And they have promised to give their winnings of this contest to two veterans initiatives. So
yes,
we're excited. Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We're down the wire, so all votes count and help.
Yes, they do. And I've been voting every day and telling all my friends too.
We appreciate it.
Barry, you and I were talking about the movie 13 Hours, an inside account of what really happened in Benghazi. And of course, my husband and I watched it again recently because it had been some time, since I've seen it. And but tonight is the real deal. It's not a movie. We have a real hero, a Benghazi survivor. Mark Oz Geist is here tonight. And Mark served 12 years in the Marine Corps. He went on to work in law enforcement and then as a security contractor. And on September 11th, 2012, Mark was part of a small team of American security contractors that were securing and defending the CIA annex in Benghazi, Libya, when they came under a terrorist attack and fought through the night into the next day. Americans lost their lives during that attack. And I just wanted to recognize and honor those who were lost, the ambassador, Chris Stevens, Sean Smith, Navy SEAL Glenn Doherty, and Navy SEAL Tyrone Woods. And tonight, we're just really grateful that Mark has agreed to come on and talk to us. So please welcome Mark Oz Geist. Hi, Mark.
Hey, Mark. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for having me.
No, truly an honor that you decided to join us. It's been a while, so it's good to see you, and we're excited to have you. I know a lot of people are excited to watch. So
Barry was saying the last time he saw you, I'm going to throw this photo up, was in his studio.
Yeah, that's, I was just looking at the picture of Ty and how young he looked.
Right.
And all three of us. I don't know.
Look at that.
Can't believe it's been that long.
I know. That was one of the highlights of my career, I would say, is meeting you guys. This was before the movie came out. I think this was right when the book came out. It was your first publicity photo. So that was such an honor to have you guys at the studio. So those photos
it was a great experience.
No, I appreciate that. And we've stayed in touch over the years, so which I really appreciate too,
And you're in Colorado, and Barry was talking about that earlier.
Yeah, I guess one of the first questions I was going to ask you, Mark, was
Yeah.
you started off as a farm boy in Colorado, and
Mhm.
how did you decide to join the Marines?
You know, I mean, I come from a family of veterans. My grandfather was a World War II veteran. Was in the army. He was a tank commander, but he never really told much of his stories. I didn't know about what he did until after he had passed away. I was the only grandson that had joined the military, and so he gave me his shadow box. And when I started looking through the medals and the things that he has, um, he was a tank commander. He had 5 Purple Hearts, had
Wow.
2 Silver Stars, 2 Bronze Stars.
Wow.
He had the North Africa Campaign Medal, so that means that he was in 42. He was in North Africa, probably with Patton.
Wow.
And he also had the German Occupation Medal, so he was there all the way through the occupation of Germany after the war in 45.
That's amazing. What a story.
Yeah.
And so typical of that generation that a lot of the family members did not know these stories until, unfortunately, after they're gone, and you find things, whatever, boxes in the attic that tell you the story. There was so humble about their service.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just said they're so humble about their service.
Yeah. I think it was just a different breed of people.
Right. Exactly.
I also had 3 uncles then during Vietnam, 2 in the Navy, 1 in the Marine Corps. And, to get back to your question a little bit, kind of how it started was, I expected I was either going to go in the military or I was going to work as a cowboy out on a ranch. And either of them would have been great. But I was walking down the hall after lunch with a friend of mine, and we were supposed to go to math class. And as we're walking, I turned to go into math class, and he just kept going. I'm like, hey, where are you going? And he's like, I'm going to go talk to the Marine Corps recruiter. And I'm like, you mean I can get out of math class for this? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, that's where I'm going. And so I went down and talked to the Marine Corps recruiter, and it was ended up a little bit later, took the ASVAB, and he asked me, he said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to jump out of airplanes. I want to blow things up, and I want to shoot guns. And he says, if I got a job for you, and it's called the infantry.
Wow.
That's amazing. Mark, I wish I had your courage, because I would have loved to have gotten out of math class too, but
not that badly.
Yeah. So I joined the Marine Corps 10 days after I graduated high school.
That's amazing. Wow.
So young.
I went straight to boot camp, and then from boot camp, I went to infantry training school, which was on the East Coast. Boot camp, I was in San Diego, and then came home from there. I think I had 10 days of leave, and then got shipped straight overseas to the Philippines for the next year and a half.
So what year was this, Mark?
1984.
1984. Okay.
A few years ago.
Wow.
Right out of high school.
Right. Yeah.
What
an amazing story.
When you hit boot camp, were you in shock? Like, did you think it would be as challenging as it was? Or?
I actually thought it would be harder, because my uncle, who was in the Marines, he was in from 58 to 68. So he went to boot camp in 1958, and that's what I thought boot camp was going to be like. And so when I didn't get punched in the face every day or get my butt kicked every day, it was kind of, I'm like, this ain't so bad. But it was still tough. I mean, it was really tough. The drill instructors demand the best out of you, and as they should.
Yes.
Of course. Shelley's on, Shelley Morgenstein. She says incredible.
Yes.
And she has her American flags up there.
Yes.
So how do you go from the Marine Corps then to security contractor?
Well, I got out of the Marine Corps in 97 or 96, I'm sorry. And I was deploying a lot, and me and my first wife, we had adopted our first child, and I didn't want to be gone. I didn't want to be away from him and the family all the time. And that's what it would have been like, because we were deploying 6 to 9 months out of the year. I finished up my career actually as a interrogator translator. The Lord blessed me with the ability to learn how to speak other languages fairly easy. So I got sent to school in the Marine Corps, sent me to school to learn Persian Farsi, what they speak in Iran. And ended up, never thought I really wanted to learn Chinese, to be honest, because I thought China was going to be our next big threat. And I was off by about 20 years, but so I ended up deploying a few times, and then decided I needed to stay home. So I got out and got a job in law enforcement back here in Colorado as a deputy sheriff here on the backside, in a county backside of Pikes Peak, little county called Teller County.
How long were you sheriff for?
I was a deputy sheriff there for about 3 years. Most of it was working, crimes against children and crimes against women.
Right. Oh, wow.
I think the Lord blessed me with the ability to get to kids to tell me stuff they should never have to tell anyone. And it was also probably one of the most satisfying jobs I had.
I bet.
Because I got to help the kids that, those that can't help themselves.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. Good for you, Mark.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for your service. That's incredible. It's, as a survivor of domestic violence, I've met a lot of women and families that were struggling in really brutal situations through the years. And so we are watching live. Love you, Oz. That's Matt Spear from the Don't Unfriend Me show.
Oh, wow. Are we on the Don't Unfriend Me show now, too?
Matt, are you going to grade us?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, my God. Now the pressure's on.
Pressure's on there.
I have to act like a host.
Yeah.
Jim Russ Messi says, hi, Lisa, Barry, and Mark. Good people watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people thankful for your service, Mark. It's
And
what you and your family has done, a million thank yous are not enough. So that's all we can say.
I always tell everyone is, the reason we did it is because you all are worth it.
Wow. That's amazing. I love that.
So grateful.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
For civilians like myself, like Barry, you probably, with your network of veteran friends, probably have a lot more understanding maybe than I do. But for some civilians that may be on here listening, can you explain, Mark, what is a security contractor? Like, what does that role and that job look like? So we can better understand it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different roles that it plays. When I first started, I was in Iraq. I got there in January of 2004, and I was in a place called Bakuba, which was the top of what they called the Sunni Triangle, which was some of the worst places in Iraq. We were getting shot at, or IEDs going off. We had one stretch of road that we had to drive almost every day. We called it RPG Alley because every time we'd go by there, they'd try to shoot us with an RPG.
Wow.
So it was, but it's a lot of that. We were there to protect State Department personnel at that time. I did that for about 4 or 5 months until the contract got taken away and given to another company. And so I got another contract with a group called USIS, United States Investigative Services, and I was training. They brought me in to then train Iraqi SWAT teams and emergency response units. And so lived on a camp with about 900 Iraqis. There was about 40 instructors doing a lot of different stuff with them. And that was always interesting, because you had to make sure that they weren't going to be those that shooting you, because, during that time period, this is 2005, and, a lot of that was happening. There's insurgents that would come in acting as if they're with the police or the emergency response units, and then they would turn on the Americans or their Iraqis. But luckily, we never had that problem.
I'm trying to wrap my brain around everything you're saying and envision it, you know, and put myself there. And it's just the first thing that comes up for me is like, wow, who do you trust? You know,
you got to trust. I mean, you trust especially trust the Americans that are to your left and your right. You know, there was always somebody at the back of the range, and you know it's kind of different. But you let them know that if anybody was going to shoot one of us, the rest of them were everybody in the group was going to get shot, because we had guys sitting at the back of the range just for that purpose. And so they kind of had to police themselves, because if one of them would act up, then they're all going to get what comes to them.
Right. Wow. David Toome says Oz.
Yeah, no, and Matt. So Mark, our great friend of mine, Matt Spears, he's the host of the Don't Unfriend Me show. Which you should probably do that show one day. He said, Mark, I had a chance to meet you at Flags of Valor and still have the flag.
Oh, okay.
That's nice.
Yeah. Would love to do your show.
Yeah, he said you would love it. I've been on there a few times. Those guys are the best. Yeah, you'd have an amazing time. Amazing time. And my wife, Shelly, says, Mark, I have not had the honor to meet you in person, but you are amazing. Shelly is correct.
Thank you. Thank you.
I agree.
When it comes to the family at home, and I would imagine there are months at a time where you can't communicate with your loved ones or your family or your wife.
I mean, luckily as technology, you know, in the beginning in 2004 and 5, it was a little bit sporadic, you know, because some of the places didn't have really good communication, either internet or satellite or anything. I know when I first got there, I mean, to talk to anybody, you had to have a satellite phone to get back home. But that changed rather quickly. By 2005, 2006, you had pretty good facilities in place that you could talk home to just about every day if you needed to.
So the film, I was saying, you know, I just recently watched it for the second time with my husband because it's been a while. And when you first saw the film, was there anything that you wish would have been shown or talked about in that story?
You know, not really. I think, you know, Michael Bay, I mean, did a fabulous job on filming it. And, you know, it's not a documentary. It is entertainment, and you understood that going in. And so, you know, he talked with us all the time. I mean, one of us was on set probably 40 out of the 70 days that we were shooting. So one of us was there to kind of correct things or answer questions. You know, and for me, I mean, it was simple when I first met Michael. Is, you know, what happens when you're selling a book, you're selling your life rights. And when you sell those life rights, I mean, the contract basically says they can depict you however they want to make money, because they're the ones putting all the money into that, you know. And I think the total they put into this one was around 70 million. So when I first met Michael, I kind of stopped him before he started talking. I said, you know, I don't care how you depict me. I know I signed my life rights away. If you could put me in a pink bunny suit, I don't care. But if you do anything that disrespects Ty or Glenn, the two that got killed next to me, I'm going to beat the living few extra words in there out of you.
Yeah.
And he looks at me, he says, oh, Oz, you ain't got to worry about that. And I'm like, Michael, I'm not, just so you know.
Yeah.
And,
good for you.
You're the one that needs to be worried.
Yeah. And
well, Mark,
you know, we had a great relationship after that. I mean, he would, if the actors weren't doing what he thought they needed to, he would come over, you know, hey, show them how to do this, or Tonto, show them this, or, you know, with the other guys, with Tig and everybody that was on set, you know, he was really there to make it as right as it could be.
Authentic.
And Mark, I think I've now gotten friendly with your twin brother, Max. Who I think did an excellent. Well, because his brother Chris Martini, he's one of my dearest friends. There we go. There's your twin. I think they did a perfect casting. I must say.
Great casting.
They did. Yeah. You know, we actually, because I always ask Michael, I'm like, hey, I want to, you know, I need to have a cameo in this. And he was like, no, I can't do it. I'm like, this is the only chance this ugly mug's going to ever get to be on a major motion picture. But he wouldn't do it. So me and Max decided that he wasn't going to have a choice. So we switched out in one of the scenes. But unfortunately, Michael put it on the cutting room floor of the editing room. But it was pretty funny, though.
Yeah, I think the casting was spot on.
It was everybody. I thought was perfect, and
and I love that, you know, he was giving attention to detail and giving you that respect so that you could consult him on it, because it should be, you know, respected and be authentic, right?
Yeah, and you know, and each one of us, I think, feel a little bit different on how accurate it was. I mean, because there were some things that he put in or switched that were basically to pull on the heartstrings of the people watching it, because, you know, as he would tell us, is, you know, my goal is to keep their butts in the seat for the whole movie. And it's a long movie, as movies go too. So, you know, that probably one of the biggest changes was that he put in that didn't happen was the bus bomb at the end of the second firefight at the annex. That never happened. And, you know, it was like, Michael, what the heck? You know, I mean, we got enough explosions in there. And he's like, you know, hey, I need to keep, I'm building up their anticipation. I want them to stay through the end. And they know, because of all the publicity that the movie had because of the politics, that it got worse, because they knew that 2 people died. And at that point, when the bus bomb went off, no one had died yet on our side, at least over at the annex. And so he knew that, you know, his idea was that this is going to make everybody anticipate what happened next, which is, if that's that bad, we know it got worse. And, and he made the right call, I think, you know, but some of the guys don't feel the same way I do, but it's just, it's not that anybody's wrong in how they feel. It's just individuals.
Yeah, sure.
Well, on that note, David Toombs says, Susan, his late wife, Susan, loved that movie and always cried during it. So it definitely pulled at heartstrings.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And Rob Langston, Bad Rob, says, hello, Lisa Goat and Oz. I made it. Yes, you did make it. I was wondering where you be.
Yeah, good to see you, Rob.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Yes.
Good group of patriots, for sure.
Amen.
Amen is right. I, you know, the conversation about healing, and I know that you founded a nonprofit, Shadow Warriors Project, and your wife is part of that, Crystal. I read about that, and I think it's amazing, and is giving back to other veterans and first responders and security contractors and their families. Is that part of your healing, Mark? How's that?
You know, I think it's part of that, and probably part of, I mean, and a good part of that is also my part of continuing to serve. You know, because what I think most people don't understand is, you know, because during the war on terror, I mean, there was a lot of contractors that were working and helping support that, you know, all over the world. What most people didn't realize that was such a big thing until they saw that in, you know, the war on terror. But there have actually been private military contractors since the Revolutionary War. And when people ask me, like, who would that be? And that's two of it. One of them is a French general who George Washington hired to come and train the troops. And then there was always the camp followers, because, you know, back then there wasn't a lot of it was the camp followers that were the private entities supporting the army as it moved across the country to up and down the coast to fight. And you get into the Vietnam War, and there was every war we've had. There's been private military contractors of some sort, and the biggest thing with the war on terror was there was just a lot more of them because they didn't want to use as many military, I think, is my opinion. And contractors were able to free up troops who would normally be in the support phases of, either serving chow or driving the trucks and getting all that stuff done. That was turned over to contractors. But then there was always a portion of us that were in the security side of things, either training or protecting people around the world.
Wow.
And probably one thing people don't realize is during the whole war from 2001 to 2015 or 16, there was approximately 5,000 contractors killed and over 30,000 injured.
No, did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know they go back as far as the Revolutionary War. I love American history. I never knew that. That's fascinating to me.
Well, and they don't when they talk about the general, the French general that helped. I think there was another, a couple other different foreign fighters that came over and helped train our troops. We just, we didn't call them that then, so it's never been it's not kept in history books as that. But when you really look at it, it kind of goes back, and that's kind of what it was.
Yeah, and I think for someone like me, a civilian who's so far removed from war, from military, I think in watching the film, it did help me to understand how Shadow Warrior is a great name, because you are in the shadows, but you have your eyes on everything. You know what's going on, and it's just so admirable what you do and courageous. But again, as a civilian, I have a hard time sometimes understanding what does that mean? What's the role? But the movie was extremely helpful in guiding me to understand what it was like.
Right.
And I just think that, with Barry, like I said, you have such a large network of veteran and law enforcement friends that I'm just meeting so many heroes. And I know oftentimes I'll have a veteran say, I'm not a hero, I was just doing my job. But if you could allow us to call you that, because from a civilian's perspective,
we're going to have to insist on calling you that.
Yes.
I always tell everyone, I take it from Tropic Thunder. I was just a dude playing a dude dressed up like another dude.
That's classic.
That is.
Seriously, though, I always say every week, and I always say to Lisa, I say, those of us who have not served, it's our duty to honor and remember you guys, and just just that's why it's our honor to talk. We're just civilians.
Absolutely.
And to have you on and just let you tell your stories. It's important that America hears your stories. It's just an honor for us, for sure.
Yeah, it is. And, it's, I get a lot of people, especially the young soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, they're like, man, I wish I could have been there with you. And I'm like, no, you didn't want that. And two is the Lord didn't have that purpose for you. I think we each have our purpose, and it is, it's us to follow what the Lord has us to do and do that. And, he makes some of us warriors in this aspect, but there's others that are warriors in their own right. I mean, Regina, like you, is, what you've done with your history and turning that into something that was harsh and turning it into good is really no different than what I'm doing too, is taking something that was meant for evil into something and shining the light on what can be done, and how, survivors, we can all survive things. We just got to have that mindset for it.
Absolutely. And Shelley's asking how we can help Shadow Warrior Project.
There's Shadow. You can go to the website. It's www.shadowwarriorsproject.org,
Yep.
and donate there if it's monetary. If there's other things that you can do, then in just sharing that and putting that out there so other people understand it, because most of our donors are anywhere from $5 to $12, and but if you have 1,000 of those that do that on a monthly basis, then it's a
Makes
good
an impact.
It helps.
And of course, we'll share your information on our social medias, of course.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the programs with Shadow Warriors Project? What do you do to support fellow veterans and security operators and their families?
So now mostly, the amount of contractors overseas is a lot less, but there's probably an example is that when we pulled out of Afghanistan, there was probably 2.5 contractors for every one military person. So there was always a lot more of the contractors around because they did the support stuff, and now they weren't necessarily like me. I was there, and I never did anything in the offensive manner. I was there to be defensive only, and so if we get shot at or they're shooting at the people we're protecting or training, then we can legally we can engage to protect ourselves and those that we're hired to protect. But there's a lot of others that weren't doing that. Is if people think back and go back to the truck drivers that would get captured or killed and things like that. Those were all private military, private security, not security, but private military contractors. And so what we do now is, because we still have a lot of them overseas, most of them work for the 3-letter alphabet soup companies of the U.S. government. And, they still get injured. They still, unfortunately, every now and then you do get some that may pass away or get killed. And one of our big things was to make sure that the families are taken care of, because when you're a private military contractor, you don't have the same support as what the military does. We have.
I don't understand. I'm sorry. I have a hard time, understanding that, because you're fighting shoulder to shoulder. Like, why don't you get the same benefits? I don't get that.
It's because we're private individuals who are contracting either with a company that has a contract, or like myself, most of mine I was contracting directly with the U.S. government or whichever agency I worked for.
Okay.
But all we have is a workman's comp policy. And so I got paid well, but I only got paid when my feet were in the country that I was contracted to work in. So even in Benghazi, even though I was injured very bad, my left arm was about severed off. I had about 25 holes in me from shrapnel. My neck, I had my carotid artery. I had a piece of shrapnel 1 millimeter from my carotid artery, a piece of shrapnel 2 millimeters from my femoral artery. I've got a hole in the center of my chest that goes halfway through my sternum, but it didn't go all the way through. I still have about 18 pieces of metal in me that weren't supposed to be there. But the day I left on the 12th, evening of the 12th, I flew from Tripoli, the capital of Libya, to Germany to a hospital, and that's when my pay stopped. And so I'm in the hospital for 6 to 8 weeks getting surgeries and another year and a half of physical therapy. That then I had a workman's comp policy, so my pay went from making $25,000 a month to $5,000 a month, and we almost lost our home.
Oh, we got a little freeze.
And that was really kind of what started Shadow Warriors Project, is I didn't want anybody else to have to suffer like that. So, our first mission is to take care of the families and those that get injured or killed overseas. But then we also help veterans. We have canine programs, a canine therapy course that we do once or twice a year. My wife has started a program that's called Her Warrior Heart, and it's specifically for spouses of law enforcement, first responders, veterans, and contractors. Because most people, I don't think, realize, though we are the guys going overseas, and when we come back, we have PTSD or traumatic brain injuries or physical injuries. But bigger than that is the fact that our spouses put up with us going back and forth. We started figuring it out. I think in the 9 years I was contracting, I did 22 deployments. I was gone for 7 out of 9 years from my family. And there's trauma that goes to my family with that. Mm-hmm. And so that's what my wife started her program to do, a retreat for spouses alone.
That's amazing.
We always say spouses are heroes also.
Amen.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And whatever you're going through, whatever you're suffering with, it has a ripple effect on the family. So it's wonderful that she started that for the military spouses.
Well, the spouse puts away her trauma to help us with ours when we come back, and it gets pushed down, and we're actually seeing an increase in suicide rate of spouses of veterans and first responders and contractors.
We encourage everyone to go to shadowwarriorsproject.org and please give and please support. There's so many comments up here. Let's try to get some of them on there again.
Rob Langston said, Mark, God still has a purpose for you, which is nice.
Amen. Amen. Nice. I do it every day.
And Jim had a good question. I think we lost Jim's question. He asked, Mark, do you ever go to high school? There you go, and talk to our next generation, which is a great question.
I do. It's, it varies on where. I mean, I've been out everywhere from California. I was up in San Jose talking to a Christian school out there that brought me in. And, I've talked several times up and down in Colorado to various schools that I've either ones that I've been to or one that I attended or others that I've played against in football or sports when I was a young man. I think it's, to answer that question, it's important that we educate and share with our younger citizens, our children, and that what is really going on in the world.
Right. That is so important.
Save your old history books as they're destroying them at an alarming rate. Well,
Amen.
That's disturbing.
That's really disturbing.
Yeah.
But I told you, Barry, when John and I were at Leslie's home dedication, Gary Sinise built Captain Leslie Nicole Smith, our friend, a smart home, and one of the staff members, we were just talking about how she said that only 14 schools in, I guess it was in Tennessee. I thought she said in the States. I'm pretty sure she said in the States that are teaching about 9/11. I'm like, I thought, why wouldn't every school teach about?
That's just heartbreaking and disgraceful, actually.
Yeah.
But I believe it, though. I wouldn't be surprised. Unfortunately, I think that's true.
Yeah, and I get that because, a lot of young kids, it's been, this is 25 years since 9/11. It's been 15 years since Benghazi. The generation that was there as young kids in 2012, they're 27 years old now.
Right.
You look at those that were maybe 10 years old during 9/11, 2001. I mean, they're full-grown adults in their middle ages.
Right. I think my stepdaughter was born. Sienna was born, I believe it was on 2001 too. So she's 25 now, right? Yeah. So
right.
But but luckily she's aware of it and she's a patriot, and the kids have to be taught for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that comes from
even from the back, they need to be taught about World War II, about, the greatest generation, or just so much about our history is so great and needs to be taught. It shouldn't be taught that our history is not great, which a lot of it is going around, is being taught. And that's just wrong, and it has to be corrected. So,
well,
Mark,
every country around the world and throughout history has made mistakes.
Of
It's
course,
not the mistakes that you make.
There's no such thing as a perfect place. Right. Well said. Exactly. Exactly. So true.
Mark, I was just wanted to know, is there something that you want people to know that wasn't communicated either in the book or in the film, just something that you want to share?
It's hard to say. I mean, most of what, I think probably one of the bigger things, because of the show, that wasn't, and people don't understand all the politics afterwards. It got swallowed up in the politics instead of what the reality was. They talked about the administration at the time, Hillary and Obama, talked about it being this video about Muhammad that generated that protest, and they were only half wrong and half right, because the true protest started that morning on September 11th, 2012 in Cairo. If you go back and look in both a lot of newspapers and in social media, they covered it. They were throwing Molotov cocktails over top of the walls, trying to breach the walls in Cairo at the capital, at the U.S. Embassy. Well, and then when the administration said there was no way to get help there, and unfortunately, I was just watching another video of somebody posted on social media of one of the guys that did the investigation afterwards, and from I don't want to really call him out as a liar, but he's given off mistruth. But he said no one could have got there in time, because the thing is he kept making excuses for units that couldn't get there because of the time. Well, there was units put on alert in the Middle East, everywhere across the Middle East and in the Mediterranean. Every unit was put on alert because of what was going on in Egypt.
Right.
And since then I've talked to people. I talked to the deputy wing commander in Aviano, which is the northern part of Italy. They had aircraft sitting on the tarmac, ready to go, waiting with a full bomb package.
Yeah.
They with extra tanks on their plane, everything that they would need.
Wow. And how far out would they have been?
Probably, I'm guessing probably 5 hour, maybe at most. They would have had to. What they probably would have done is flown from Aviano down to Sigonal, Italy, which is in the south, down by the boot. They would have landed there. They would do what they call a hot load, which means the plane would never shut down. They would have filled it up with gas, so then it can just make its jump across the Mediterranean, which is, maybe 800, 900, maybe at most 1,000 miles from Italy. So it could have made it across there. And, even if they didn't have the right bomb package, you could, supposedly one of the senior military personnel at the time said that they wouldn't be effective, which, if that general thinks that they wouldn't, flying F-15s at 500 feet above a bunch of bad guys wouldn't scare the crap out of them.
Sure.
Then that guy should have never been a 4-star general or 3, whatever he was.
Right.
Should have never been in the military.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great point.
And I'm sure, I'm just going to say it. I'm so mad. How do you get over that they didn't send them out or give them? I was going
to say, we're so mad. I can imagine how you guys feel.
I know.
It's infuriating.
Exactly.
Just reading the book, watching the movie, your head explodes. It's like, and then how do you deal with that?
For me, one is I can't let that that hate or that frustration,
Anger. Yeah.
Mhm.
you know, or that anger occupy space in my brain.
Amen.
You know, as a good friend of mine, Victor Marks, who's running for governor here in Colorado, as he says it, you know, forgiveness isn't something for them. Forgiveness is giving up their ability to hurt you and that's what it really is not, you know, because they don't care whether or not I'm mad or not.
Absolutely.
No one cares if I'm pissed off
Right.
or whatever, other than the
Right.
American people. But, you know, the administration, those that did this or made the bad decisions that they made, they're
Right.
not the ones. I mean, they don't give two craps about it, you know?
Right.
So
Yeah,
for
good
me to
points.
let it occupy space in my brain only hurts myself.
Very true.
Absolutely.
Good
So
attitude.
true.
Takes a
So
lot of
true.
strength to think that.
It does.
Yeah, it
And
does.
it takes time and to be able to forgive. And you're right. That's your energy is being put in positive places, like by helping as many of the veterans and families that you're helping through your project, Shadow Warriors project. So
Yeah, and right now, one of the other big things well, there's a couple big things, but one of them that really is important to me is I'm chairing a ballot initiative here in Colorado to make it a life in prison without parole for anyone who traffics a child for sex.
Yeah.
Um,
That should be a no-brainer.
yeah,
How would
yeah,
anybody be against that is also mind-blowing, right?
yeah.
It's just, but good for you though.
I mean,
It's as evil as it gets.
It's ridiculous that people, again, it shows you where the morality of this country has fallen to.
No, that's very true. Very true.
And you also have a podcast coming up, right?
I do.
Let's hear about the podcast. I love the title.
Yeah, podcast.
That's great.
When is that launching?
We're hoping to launch. Our hard launch is going to be. We're going to start promoting it. Our hard launch is going to be on the anniversary of when I got blown up, which is September 12th. So we're going to do that this year. But we're going to do a soft launch here probably the end of next week. Our website will be up, everything. We're going to have memberships that you can join. So it's going to be $5, $15, and $35. If you pay the whole thing at once for a year, then it'll be 10% discount. And if you want to be a member of I call it the founding member, then we're going to take another 10% off. So it goes down to like $4 for a month. And then it's going to be like $4 a month. What would that be? 15. So it'll be $12 for the second member, the higher up membership. And then the $35 membership is going to be, I think it'll be $27 if you sign up for the founding member. And the differences are going to be on the website, so you understand. One of the things that we're going to do every month is have a hot wash or what I call a debrief of either one of the podcasts that we present that month, or it could be something that's happened in the news that is with our law enforcement officers or first responders, so we can go back and just include everybody else into that conversation as well that comes in at that higher level of membership.
That's awesome. Is the
wait.
website by the same name, theozcast.com, or is it?
Yeah, it'll be theozcast.com.
And when can people start signing up?
Once we go live, if you go to any of my social media, I'm on pretty much all platforms, and you'll be able to you start following when you start seeing us putting up some of the because we've already pre-taped five different individuals, and it's going to be some great stories. One of them is a ATF agent who went undercover for 3 years with the Mongol Motorcycle Club.
Oh wow!
Another one is a spouse of a officer who got killed in the line of duty. A federal marshal. I've got a bunch of good ones on the hot plate as well. trying to get the 3 officers that were involved in the March 1st shooting in Austin, Texas. They thwarted a mass shooting, and their response time, you know, it was a blessing from the Lord that they were there. Their response time was like 47 seconds because they just happened to be in the right spot at the right time. And I see, Rob, you got, you know, I always love to help others as well. So it's, you know, how those collaborations look, we can definitely talk about that too. And, you know, and help out, because you know, it takes everybody to take care of our people that have sacrificed and continue. Me and one of the guys that I've interviewed, we were talking, and you know, it's something that's kind of now passionate for me to do is, you know, for our veterans, and the way, in having been a cop, I understand this, is he was like, you know, as veterans or military personnel, you know, 80% of the time you're training and 20% of the time you're deploying. Where cops, our law enforcement officers, put it into perspective, train about 1% of the time and are deployed every day. So they're deployed like 99% of the time. You know, and as a veteran, I can show my veteran's ID card and I can get a 10%, 15% discount. They don't have that for our law enforcement officers. Our law enforcement officers can't get a $0 down a break on, you know, a down payment for their house. And I think we need to get better at supporting our law enforcement officers.
For sure.
Oh, for
Absolutely.
sure.
Absolutely.
I miss the days when in New York City, you know, I lived there 30 years, and there was a time where, like, walking through Times Square or heading to an audition or wherever I was going, like always running into NYPD and just kind of saying hi, thanking them, talking a little bit. And they were just always part of the city, and especially in Times Square, where people come from all over the world to, you know, the great city of New York. And that time is gone. And people respected them before. People took pictures with them. They joked around. I mean, it was a sense of community. It was a sense of a healthy city. And now it's just disgusting. And I mean, I haven't taken the subway in the city in probably 5 years, and I won't, because I don't feel safe because of everything.
Because it's not just the fringe now that are against the law enforcement; it's actually politicians who want to run our country.
Yeah,
and they have those attitudes, which is frightening as hell.
Yeah, it is. It is. You know, when I see groups or politicians out there saying we should defund the police, I mean, here's the thing that people don't realize is, if somebody calls 911 for the police, it's probably because it's the worst day of their life.
Right.
Yeah.
And a social worker is not going to help them.
Right.
No, I don't think so. No.
You know,
Shelley says, thank you so much, Mark, for your service, sacrifice, and your continued dedication to our veterans, and to Roan, Bob, Sean, and Ambassador Stevens.
Well, thank you so much, Shelley. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. You know, and it's, as law enforcement officers, you know, no one's perfect, and there's mistakes that get made.
Sure.
You know, but I know that it's not intentional. It's not, you know, most of it is a two-way street. You know, imagine being out there, whether you're in a small town in the eastern plains of Colorado or you're in a major city. You know, there's a lot of different things that you got to entail with. I mean, like, after I left Teller County, I was chief of police in a small town. It was kind of like Mayberry. I mean, the town was only 1,260 people.
I love that.
But, you know, I had like 4 or 5 officers, but my backup was 45 minutes away. So whatever you dealt with, you had to deal with by yourself. You didn't have that support.
A lot can happen in 45 minutes. Holy shit.
Yep. Oh my God. Yeah, I've got a couple scars on the back of my head from a lady who hit me over the back of the head with a lamp because I was arresting her husband who had beat her up.
Ugh. Yeah.
You know.
And Mark, we have a question from Christy, who's another one of our favorites. She's a nurse. So how was your recovery for your arm, Mark?
I mean, pretty amazing, really. I mean, it works. I had a piece of shrapnel go through it. It disintegrated 2 inches of my radial bone, shattered my ulna. So a piece of skin on like here and this here was all that was kind of holding it on.
Oh my God.
You know, Tig is probably who saved my life because he got up on the rooftop immediately after the mortar stopped, got a tourniquet put on me. After he had already got a tourniquet, 2 tourniquets put on Dave, who was one of the State Department guys that got blown up as well. And then my first surgery, I had a tourniquet on my arm until that happened about 5 o'clock in the morning. I didn't get to a hospital until about 10:30, 11 o'clock, which was a Libyan hospital and Libyan doctors, which they're the ones that probably saved my arm. And then on the plane, then later that night, I was on a plane that went from Libya to Germany. And one of the things I never knew until about 5 years ago, I was going through my medical records. And as I was reading through some of them, I found out that on the plane from Germany or from Libya to Germany, they had to intubate me and resuscitate me. So I died on the plane and they were able to bring me back. But
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I guess
Through
the Lord
God's
didn't want me to
grace.
go too far.
Yeah, God's grace. You're here. That's amazing. That part of the film definitely had me going like this. I was like, I'm squeamish, and I was like, whoa, that was. It's incredible that you continue to fight. I guess that's your training, right? That training kicks in, and
yeah, because if I can't stay, I got to do everything I can to stay into the fight. Because if I don't, then that leaves a weakness in the defenses and just puts everybody else at risk.
incredible that you. Well, that's why we consider you a hero, and those that have fought for us. Dr. Pamela Arnell from 22 Zeros on here. She says, Mark, thank you. Just sending prayers for you. She's actually at the Navy SEAL swim on the Hudson in New York City.
Oh,
she's
right.
volunteering.
Yeah. That's this week, right? I believe. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
This weekend, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Jim has a good question. Interesting question. Jim says, are we ever going to know who Bob is?
Bob ended up being, at least Bob in the movie was 2 different characters.
Right.
Was the chief of base, and then we actually had a full-time CIA officer who was our team leader. He didn't have the experience, so he always kind of turned to Tyrone for that leadership, that to really take over the leadership. And and nothing against him, but he did what he thought was his job, to stay down in front of and protect the front door of the building that Bob was in, while the rest of us were up on the rooftop fighting. But Bob, and I know people always ask, was Bob like that, like it was in the movie? And I'll say that one is I was probably the oldest. I know I was the oldest on the team. And so I had and because of my varied life experiences, I dealt with Bob differently than some of the other guys. And, so me and Bob actually got along better than probably most of the guys did. But, Bob was, Bob was that way with Tonto, with Roan at times. I think part of that came from the fact that, he was getting ready to retire out of the CIA after almost 30 years. I don't think he was being that old school spy. I think he thought that they could still do it that way. I think the morning of 2012, of September 12th of 2012, probably changed his mind. But he was a character. He was a character.
We have you frozen there, Mark.
Yeah,
I'm
we can
just
hear
going
you.
to remove you and add you back just to see if it clears it up a minute, real quick. There we go. Yeah, that helped.
There you go.
Yeah.
And Christy says too. What do you think of that, Mark?
Would love to see Tonto
You know,
too.
that would be a
And
good thing. I mean, it's been a long time since we've all been together.
Right.
You know, we all stay in touch. You know, but we all have life that goes on, and family and kids. I mean, I've got 4 grandkids now. It
Oh,
tells
wow.
you how old I am, or
Yeah.
you know, and because my oldest daughter, she was a young teenager on September 11th, 2012. You know, and she's, you know, and again, family, you know, she had to deal with me almost dying and different things like that, and deal with the trauma that comes with that. And we sometimes forget that with our kids as well. You know, we gotta take care of the family, not just the veteran or the law enforcement officer. It's got to be the whole thing.
Sure.
Well, Mark, if you do the reunion, we got to update that photo, recreate the same photo.
Yeah,
that would be a good
here's
thing.
the photo.
You know, that would be good.
How cool would that be?
Yeah, that's no, one way or another. We got to get that done.
Yes, we need to get you to New York for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you were very clean shaven in that photo, right?
I know. Yeah.
I was. Because most of the time, I mean, when I was overseas, I always had a beard that was probably about that long.
Oh wow!
And you know, I do have a picture of me in the hospital in Germany, and this half of the beard is shaved off, and this isn't, because it was it was taken early in the morning after I got there, because when they first got back to Germany, they redid I went straight into the operating room. They went in and redid my arm because the way the Libyans did it didn't have the technology at the time. They didn't have the same as what they had for us. So, and then they had to cut open my stomach and take because I had shrapnel that went into my stomach. They had to make sure there was no holes in my stomach or intestines or anything like that. So I woke up midday, I think, and there was a couple of State Department personnel that had come in to visit, and they thought I was with State Department, and they didn't know I was with CIA, and they took a picture and they sent it to my wife, and that was the first time she was able to know for sure that I was alive. That was one of the hard things for her, is no one ever called her and told her whether or not I was alive or dead. She just knew what it said on the ticker tape at the bottom of the newsreel.
Oh wow!
Wow. Just doing that again because we're freezing up here.
Yeah, he's back.
Yes, you're back.
Again, Mark.
Well, we appreciate your time, Mark, and just really grateful for you. And we could probably talk to you for another 3 hours, I'm sure. But I just wanted to know before we wrap out tonight, is there anything else you'd like to share with us? We have your nonprofit again that we want to put up there, and we're asking everyone, please go to shadowwarriorsproject.org and support. And also,
and everybody sign up for the Oz
and
the Ozcast. The
Ozcast.com.
Right.
That'll be coming very soon.
Yeah.
And the stories sound incredible. We will definitely be tuning in. Is there anything you want to leave us with tonight that you want to share with our audience? You had a lot of love on here tonight.
Well, you know, and I want to thank everybody for that, you know, and biggest, I think, is, you know, because one of the questions I always get about my faith is, was it the same as before as it was after? And, you know, and I'm a hard-headed German descent with, and I was in the Marine Corps, so that makes me hard-headed as well. I always had faith in Christ, and he was my savior, but it took getting blown up to be one of those things. Okay, now you got my attention. I'm very direct with my faith now, and because I wouldn't be here if not for the protection of the Lord. I really firmly believe that. I mean, the mortars that landed were 81 millimeter mortars. They have a kill radius of 131 feet, which means if you're within that 131 feet, you have a 97% chance, 95 to 97% chance of dying. I was within 17 feet of 3 of them. The blast went through me and killed Ty on the other side. There's really no reason I should be alive other than at the will of the Lord. And so I got to give all my grace to him, and just know, people, that, fear and faith don't operate in the same place. So have faith in what God has for you, because that is have the discernment to listen to him and follow what he wants you to do, and make a difference in a person's life. That's my goal every day, is to see if I can make a difference in someone's life, whether it be from a smile to helping them out however I may.
Amen. Thank you for sharing that.
You're pretty amazing.
That's
You really are.
incredible.
Yeah, you really
Thank
are.
you very much.
Really.
Incredible story of survival. And I think Barry will agree that's God's grace, right? That saved your life and your arm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I never thought it would still be there.
Well, it is, and you are. And
I'm like, some of the prosthetics they've got now, they've got them where they hook in and they actually hook into your brain, and you can move it by just like a regular hand. You don't have feeling in it, obviously, but it's.
Right.
And I'm glad I still have mine. But it's. I always think back, the $6 Million Man.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
that
I
toy?
remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that. Thank you for all you do. God's hand on protecting you. These are some of the comments. God had a plan for you. Absolutely. Has a plan for all of us. Damn, we are thankful you're here, sir. Just so many. God is great. Yes. There we go.
Thanks,
Pamela.
Thank you so much, Mark, for being here tonight and being so gracious with your time. We're so grateful for you, Barry and I. Barry, thank you for the introduction to Mark. And God bless you. And
God bless you and your family, Mark.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You and your wife have to come to New York. We will host you if you and your wife come to New York.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I look forward to that.
Yeah.
And stay on, Mark. Don't go anywhere, because I'm going to say goodnight to everyone. And then we have to end this and make sure our video processes and all that great stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for all your beautiful comments, for your support, for watching Heroic Episodes live. We'll be here next Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And our guest next week is Nicole Emilio Casper. She's an award-winning documentary filmmaker. And her stories are all about veterans. Resilience Warriors Rise. Thank you. God bless. We'll see everyone next week.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andre.